Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Today's show brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 Hummel's Wharf, online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, all with great warranties. Fabulous selection of pre-owned inventory, all with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. And a fabulous service department to back it all up at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, online at sunburymotors.com. Time now for our play-by-play call of the day. Sounds like a great play.
No, senor! No, senor! No, senor!
I'm going to guess you don't have it.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, okay. It's a good guess on my part. I don't know how I figured it out. But, yeah, not there. All right, Jeff Wilson got dealt to the Dolphins, too. Gee, I wonder if Christian McCaffrey's presence caused that to happen. All right. So now let's get to one of the big trades. And really, in my opinion, this is a fleecing. And the one that did the fleecing happened to be the Steelers. They dealt Chase Claypool. Bye-bye. Take your inconsistency with you. To the Bears. All right. So the Bears, I don't mind acquiring a guy like that. Okay, fine. For maybe a 6th-round pick. They did it for a 2. Neal Coolong. It's a fleecing. Welcome.
It is great to be here. I think this might be the most prominent spot you and I have done together.
Yes, I think so. Let's start with this. They trade Chase Claypool to the Bears. To me, I wouldn't have offered more than a 6th, but Ian Rappaport says they're going to get the 2nd round pick, and it's the Bears pick. To me, this is a fleecing.
I'm beside myself. I'm absolutely shocked. I thought at the very least it would be for the Ravens pick, but I held back on that because I didn't have a chance to look up the rules or anything. I don't think you can trade that pick that quickly.
I agree.
So
I agree.
Maybe,
that's one of the reasons why.
And maybe they have something in place that this is what the deal is officially going to be for now, and they'll change it later or something. I don't know how much of that you can do. But what I know is that is very likely a top 40 pick. And there is just no way in the world. I don't know what Chicago is doing. I don't know why they would do that. But and I'm not even – look, you've heard me for 2 years. I've been very critical of Chase Claypool in a lot of ways.
Yep.
At the same time, I do feel his highest and best is as an outside receiver and not a slot receiver. So I can understand certainly why the Steelers would be looking to if they can, get something big back for him. He's not going to be a long-term fit with them, and they're definitely not. He's not going to re-sign with them, not with Pickens there. If he's playing on the inside, he's going to want to go get paid and play on the outside. For Chicago to give up that much, I'm at a loss. I really don't understand their line of thinking with it. But that's I don't know if the Steelers have gotten this much of a trade immediately. Since they acquired Bettis in 95,
from the Rams,
95.
Yeah.
I don't think they've gotten more back for giving up less than they did with this deal. And kudos to them for it. I have no idea how that conversation went, but the only logical explanation for that is Ryan Poles, the Bears general manager, called Omar Khan up and said, "Look, I'll give you my 2nd for him." And Khan sat for a second, swallowed hard, and said, "Okay, let's do that." Hung up and then celebrated because, wow, that's exactly what you need in this case.
When I heard it was a 2, I was like, really? Are they done?
No, as it turns out, I was on hold waiting to come on the air. Apparently they are, and I have a story about this as well. This is really fun for me. They are in the finalization process of landing William Jackson III from Washington. I have not yet seen details of that, but I would imagine, considering the size of Jackson's contract, a large part of that is going to be Washington paying a good chunk of it. So whatever it is the Steelers are giving back, it's not the second-round pick. I know that. That fifth-round pick that the Steelers hate having so much is already spoken for. That's going to Seattle as part of the Keller Witherspoon deal. Right. And the seventh-round pick that they have is going to Denver for Malik Reed. So you would think logically that the sixth or the fourth, considering Jackson's contract, which is substantial, he's got a large market-level deal, and the fact that Washington simply isn't using him because he's not an off corner, he's a man corner, he's fallen out of favor there. That this trade was expected. He was going to be traded or cut. So my guess is at best, it's at best right now for Washington, it would be for the Steelers' sixth-round pick in this draft. I don't think they'd give it up, though. I think it's probably for something next year. They might get Jackson for nothing they have to pay for a year. Maybe it's that fifth-round pick, and just for my own entertainment's sake, I really hope that it is, because the Steelers hate their fifth-round pick.
For some reason
they
do.
This one again, it'd be great.
Yeah, exactly. They can't. For some reason, they can't stand a fifth-round pick. It's remarkable.
There's a lot. I think this, and tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not a maths major. I think there's some type of correlation, typically of the kinds of players that they would want at the price of a fifth-round pick. I think they have some type of formula or algorithm that says this isn't worth it to us, but a fifth-round pick is definitely worth a veteran for 2 years as opposed to a rookie for 5 or for 4, I should say, price-wise. So I think they look to deal those picks to bring in veterans like Keller Witherspoon. At the same time, that's the pick that you sent to acquire Nick Vannett a couple years ago, and you literally never played him. So right. I think that pick just doesn't return to them some type of algorithmic value that they want to achieve, and they feel better about trading it. They traded that pick and another one to acquire Isaiah Loudermilk, a guy who's only playing and dressing now due to injury. So who knows? It's just such a weird history over the last 12 years with the Steelers and their fifth-round pick. And if they gave that up to acquire William Jackson, the story I wanted to get into, and I apologize if I'm rambling here, but I know this from inside the team. I've spoken to a couple different people. In the 2016 draft, the infamous Artie Burns draft, they wanted to select Houston's William Jackson III. He was their guy.
Yes.
The Bengals somehow knew that, or just decided that the Steelers probably would take him. They traded up, I forget with who, to 24 and drafted Jackson. So the fact that his name came up in part of the trade talks, I know I've spoken with a bunch of people in regards to Jackson being a much better corner than how Washington has used him. There clearly isn't a schematic fit there, but he's owed a lot of money. So you'd think he'd find a trade market with a team that would play the type of defense, or at least in coverage, that Jackson can play in, and that's Pittsburgh. I thought that, but then it's like, that's a pretty decent chunk of cash. Right. Maybe Washington foots the bill for 70% of the rest of this year, and the Steelers are on hook for next year. I still think that's a great deal, though, because you're not going to send much by way of draft capital back to acquire that size of a contract. So really, they just kind of jumped the line in waivers in order to get him. So I think that, in a way, might be a better deal than what they got with Claypool. Because Jackson, when Jackson's in the right defense, he's legitimately one of the best cornerbacks in the game.
No doubt.
the Steelers haven't had that kind of talent at that position at his age I don't know, like several years at least. I mean, we might have to go back to Woodson to see that. Jackson's really good, and it's a bigger contract, but it fills a need for them next year. They're going to be shallow at cornerback next year. I don't know. This could be the most active day in Steelers history the way this is going right now. We still got, another hour and a half left on the deadline.
Well, we've seen Roquan Smith go to the Ravens. He was not going to stay in Chicago anyway. DJ Hawkins dealt to the Vikings in the division? Really? In the division?
That was a deal. I feel like I can see both sides feeling they got value out of it.
Yeah.
Because in the NFL, you see this a lot. Two sides are looking at a commodity in different ways. Where the Vikings are versus where the Lions are, clearly one team is rising and the other one is not going anywhere for the rest of the season. Hawkinson is, in my opinion, one of the best three-down tight ends in the game. I absolutely loved Hawkinson. I just told a Vikings friend of mine a little bit ago about this. When I had the thought in my head when Roger Goodell went up to the podium to announce the trade in the 2019 draft, that the Steelers would take Hawkinson and not Devin Bush the way that they did. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. But I was a big fan of Hawkinson's coming out. You can see how the Lions are developing. I mean, he's really good, but they're utilizing him in a run game more than anything. He's a very good receiver. They can use him a lot more in that. Yep. But that's not the way they're playing football right now. And this isn't the administration that drafted him. So you're getting to 50-year option time. The maximum amount that they can get for him is on a tight end needy team that would be willing to pay him an extension, because Hawkinson's not going to get the market extension from the Lions that he would ultimately want. The Vikings, though, with Kirk Cousins in particular, 12 personnel with him under center, I think works very well. And I think that's what they're going to try to do.
Right.
And they can afford to pay him as more of a receiving tight end, give him closer to that high level market deal that he would get on the open market. So in that regard, I think it's a great trade for the Vikings, and the Lions are getting back substantial capital on a player that isn't going to be used as effectively as he would be used somewhere else. So they aren't going to value him as highly as the Vikings are. So I think both teams are getting value out of that trade. The winner, though, is Hawkinson, because Hawkinson's going to eat in that offense.
He's going to eat in that offense, and they're 6-1.
Yeah, exactly. A great trade for the Vikings, and I think a worthy trade for the Lions, who apparently are looking to shop Jamal Williams as well. They're the fire sale in Detroit. We were all excited about all these guys, watching them on Hard Knocks, and none of them are going to be on the team anymore. Yeah,
exactly. Finally, the Steelers with the Claypool trade, and now you're talking about Jackson as well. What are we seeing from the front office of the Steelers as to how they're trying to reshape this team? And between this and the draft, are they trying to show people they can do it in a short turnaround, a short period of time?
I think they feel the need to show something, but at the same time, I think both of the deals, and they're still finalizing the deal for William Jackson, I'm told. I think both of those deals are really independent of everything else. I think they're deals that they would have wanted to do. I think if somebody would, I wouldn't have been surprised if they traded Claypool. I said that the entire season. He's the only trade asset that they have, really. Yeah. You can't trade massive contracts without penalties for both sides. So Watt is their best player. I'm sure many teams would want to acquire him, but that's a real tough contract for both sides to have to get past. The Steelers wouldn't want to trade him for a variety of reasons. Right. Claypool is not a guy that they're going to sign long term, and now he's playing out of position. It makes sense to want to trade him. I could see that. I just think they got blown away by the offer, which was probably a full round higher than the best offer they could have anticipated. So that move is a no-brainer. You have to. I mean, it kind of hurts them I don't. Between me and you, I'm not really sure how much worse their offense can get, but this trade doesn't help them offensively, that's for sure. And William Jackson, I know, is a guy that they wanted to draft. They really wanted to get him.
No doubt.
Cincinnati, kind of messed it up. The agency at that point, they weren't going to invest that much money. They had cornerbacks, signed a larger contract. Steven Nelson and Joe Hayden were both signed at that point to Pittsburgh. They weren't able to go get him. Now they had an opportunity to get him. And while they're working out the details, I'm just saying this. I very well could end up being wrong, but I don't think it's even going to be for a pick in this draft. I think they're going to trade a 2024 lower-end pick so Washington can unload his contract, and the Steelers are going to get, for 2 years, a cornerback that they've wanted for years. So those situations are both unique to where they are. I don't think they went hunting for it. I think it was just there, and their deals that they absolutely would do in a vacuum. If it happened last year, this year, next year, all of it would make sense, regardless of where they were as a team. They're deals that they would have wanted to make, and really, you just acquired what could be an immediate starter for you at cornerback, an injured position right now, and a second-round pick for losing a receiver who's playing out of position anyway, and you weren't going to sign long-term. Putting them together the way that they are now makes it seem like they're desperate in trying to make all these moves, but I really think that these are just kind of no-brainers that fell in their lap, and they're both great moves for the Steelers.
All right. A pleasure, sir, on an interesting news day, as always. Thank you.
Definitely.
Sir. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Thanks for having me, guys.
An NFL record, 8 trades made today, as a matter of fact. It's an NFL record under the trade deadline. 8 trades made today. 2 by the Steelers. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more in a moment. Brought to you by Sunbury Motors here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Open 7 till 4, Monday through Friday. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6, Monday through Friday. Saturday, 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.
Last night at Halloween, little Luke, they were playing Chariots of Fire as he attempted to walk. It's just, I mean, you ever been to a Wise Market?
Oh, yeah, of course.
They sell Kit Kats. All right, so I just want to make sure you know that. I scare the daylights out of
Yeah, but the problem is I still have to pay for this said Kit Kat. This is my way of getting them for free.
You've been around the suit so long that now you're thinking like him and you think everything's free.
S-U-I-T, that spells suita!
You know. Man, you can go over and buy them. I mean, they're not that expensive. Right?
Just my way of coping with inflation, that's all.
But you don't have to be. I mean, I realize that you want Luke to be Aaron Judge. I got it. Right? Because Dick Girardi is getting a hold of me, asking me how do you pronounce Kevin Jai's last name. because it's spelled Njie, and it's just Jai, the end silent. So I realized, like, he's your meal ticket. There's a difference between you and Lisa. She's willing to work.
Oh, my almighty!
I mean, she gets the deal. Right? She's seen enough swing and misses on the tee to know that there's going to have to be another way. Hey, you know. Right now, when it comes to, like, he could barely get you a Kit Kat last night. So now, it's just another day where he's disappointed you.
It's all right. I cut him some slack because he was sick.
Boy, have you ever grown as a parent? The first Little League game you coach, I'm going.
And Lisa wants you there.
Oh, I know she does. Because she knows darn well there'd be one way to calm you down. I'm just going to stand up. I don't even have to say a word. I'll just stand up. Oh.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is The Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Only 8.3 million viewers on Saturday for Penn State, Ohio State. That's now 3 games for Penn State, over 4 million. It's 4 out of 8 of 3.5 million or better. Obviously, you want the wins. But we do stories as well about viewership and where they stand on viewership. Today's show brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf. Online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, all with great warranties. That warranty part is so important. I can save a lot of money on warranties because of warranties. And a great pre-owned inventory that all has the Sunbury Motors guarantee because they go over every vehicle. Service department, fabulous to back it all up. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf. Online at sunburymotors.com. And let's get into that Ohio State game for a moment. Aeneas Hawkins joins us here in the studio and in the Sunbury Motors studios. So, Aeneas, what were your thoughts watching it play out Saturday?
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because, there are no moral victories in college football, man. This is an unforgiving game. But, realistically, I think for 3.5 quarters, those guys really battled their tails off. I saw both sides of the ball do some good things. They played physical, man. They competed, as they always do when they play Ohio State. Those guys seem to get up for that game. Just wish they could have found a way to go win that game at the end there.
All right. When you watch a game, do you watch the totality of the game, or do you find yourself locking in on line play because of the position you played?
Yeah, it's a little easier when the offense is on the field. I'll kind of watch from a fan's perspective there and just watch them play. But when it gets to crunch time and the defense is on the field, of course the first thing I'm looking at is the D-line. Those are my guys, the front 7. And then when the ball goes in there, just like everybody else, then my eyes go to the secondary. So it's a little bit different probably.
You get into a game like that, and there's 9 minutes to go, and you're in the lead. What's a sideline like when you get a moment and go in front like that? And then what does the determination then become for the defense in a moment like that?
Yeah, obviously, as you may expect, it gets electric going into that last segment there with the lead, in control seemingly. Everybody's jumping, and defense specifically is it's a group that's so contingent on energy and contingent on people playing hard and being passionate about what they're doing. So, having a lead when you're not supposed to have the lead just fires that group up. And there's really no other way to describe it other than just passion and energy.
How much of what we saw after that is really a testament to Ohio State and what they're capable of?
Yeah, I think it just goes to show the type of ceiling that they have in comparison to 99.9% of the other teams in the country. Most other programs can't play as they did the first three quarters and keep it close and then take the top off like they did. And again, the talent level really seems to just take over at the end. I hate to be so general, but, we talk about, watching the defensive line play at the end. I just didn't see a whole lot of pressure on C.J. Stroud. He was so comfortable back there. And then guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. do what they do. So I definitely think it speaks to the talent that they have in the program.
Sometimes, and this is only just a generality, you feel like, quote, the adults, coaches and so forth, and they got to get back to work, but they take it really hard, and sometimes the players seem to bounce back easier. It's a generality I just made. Is that true or not?
I think people just maybe don't see how players kind of go through their week. Obviously, it hurts to lose coach, player, fan, but the players feel it too. But at the end of the day, when Tuesday comes around, you're on to the next. You got to go and prepare for your next opponent. So it kind of creates a short window right there where you can't really be upset for too long. You have to find ways to move on and improve, because if you sit around too long in the same place, you get beat twice by the same opponent. And that's something that we heard Coach Franklin say after the Michigan loss. I'm not concerned that's something that the coaches or the players will struggle with, though.
Okay. You look – Sean's been the quarterback and continues to be the quarterback. Obviously, give us just a locker room feel about how you feel about, the guys and how they feel about Sean Clifford as their quarterback.
Yeah, there was never really a time, as I've seen it, that anybody in that locker room questioned Sean Clifford as the leader. 6-year guy. Those guys will battle for him through the ups and the downs. There's never really been a question, and to me, that's the most important thing. I'm sure Sean hears the jeers that he gets from the crowd sometimes. He hears what the Monday morning quarterbacks have to say, but he's going to continue to show up and prepare, and as long as he's doing that, I don't think there will be a time those guys don't buy into Sean Clifford. And again, just evaluating his body of work over the course of the season, it's been primarily positive in terms of the numbers he's putting up, the way he's leading the offense, and I think his work is what's keeping the team bought into him.
And that's the reason I brought up the question. You can give everybody the locker room perspective. Oh, what happens in the locker room? Well, guess what? His guys support him, and he supports them.
I'll also say, just from a fan's perspective, I would assume it's easier to evaluate bad quarterback play when you see it. It's so apparent when you throw a bad interception, when you turn the ball over. The guys in the locker room are watching film of everybody. It's not just Sean Clifford who had a tough performance on Saturday at the end. There were other players who got beat in times that it counted, so I don't think players hyper-fixate on just one person, and they kind of see the total picture more so than a fan may be able to.
Because you're getting your own report card.
No doubt.
And you are worried about your own report card. I mean, over and over again, you worry about your own report card.
Yep.
No question about that. You get into a game like Saturday coming up, pace is going to be critical in this. So how do you need to approach it when you know their team wants to go fast as opposed to Iowa, which that's okay. We'll huddle up here. We're good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, tempo is the great equalizer on the field because when the offense is going fast, if you get caught on your heels, number one, they can go score quick. Number two, everybody's exhausted, right? The key to beating a tempo offense is to go in with a plan specifically for tempo. I know Brent Pry used to do it. I'm sure Manny Diaz is doing the same thing where we would go in with what we call tempo calls. That way, if they do go fast, there's no sense of panic by the defense. They look right over to the sideline. There's like a sheet of 6 or 7 calls that they may get, and they get lined back up and go play ball again. But if you get caught without a plan against a tempo offense, that's when it gets tough.
Now let's get to number 3.
Okay.
Number 3 is you get a 3 and out, and you're off the field in 45 seconds.
Get off quick, man. You keep your legs fresh.
I mean, that's why you look at Indiana's numbers. They're averaging 24 minutes of possession a game, the opponent 36. That's part of what we're talking about here.
That is very much what we're talking about. And I think, the other side of it is Penn State's offense can adjust if need be. I think it's going to be really important to get the run game going where possible, because then you can kind of control that clock and you can kind of get your defense some extra rest where you see that they need it. That's where, again, Coach Franklin always harps on all 3 phases of the game playing together. That's one area that you can see it.
Penn State has gone into dramatic atmospheres over and over again this season. Blackout at Purdue, orange out at Auburn, maize out at Michigan. That's not this.
Right.
With all due respect to the fine people in Bloomington, the ones that show up the games really want to be there. But that's not this. What does it take to generate your own juice when you don't have maybe as much juice in the stadium?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's easy to get caught up in the emotional roller coaster of a season. And this is on the bottom of the list of games to be excited about on the outside looking in. You have to keep it about your goals and your big goals that you have. Obviously, 1-0 is the focus, but at this point, this team is playing for the potential to go play in a New Year's Six game and to finish with 2 losses. So you have to keep it about that. It's tough because there aren't going to be a bunch of fans in there. It's not going to be a super hostile environment. And it can be easy to kind of let your guard down. And those are the games you have to be careful about realistically. Coach Franklin always says it's our 150 versus however many show up. He does a good job of getting players geared up for games that they aren't naturally geared up for. So
right.
I think they'll be fine with that.
Right. I just sometimes you go in there, it's like, okay, like take Michigan. Joey Porter Jr. could not hear, no matter what all of you think out there, because I talked to Joey about it. Okay? So he says, Steve, honest to goodness, I never heard the whistle. There's 111,000 people there.
Yeah.
I can assure you in Indiana, with all due respect to, again, their crowd that wants to be there, he'll be able to hear the whistle.
He'll hear the whistle.
Right. And that's the difference, which means you have to generate your own emotional juice of like, yeah, it's us against them. It's us against, well, I can't really hear you.
Right.
And I think that generating your own juice, where does the personal pride part come in to allow you to generate your own juice, going back to the report card statement we talked about?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, at the end of the day, that film's going to get evaluated one way or the other. Every rep counts. There are no games off. And for a lot of those guys, they're in the mindset of, okay, this is film the NFL scouts are going to be evaluating too. Mm-hmm. So there really is not a time that personal pride can't take over. Every clip matters. But again, I think the biggest thing just comes down to the goals that you set for yourself and for the team of the season, and keeping that at the front of your mind. Because really, if you do that, then it doesn't matter who you're playing. You get the same product every time. That's what the best players can do. They find ways to be consistent, even when a stadium is flat, even when the game seems insignificant.
What kind of role can the offense play in a game where the other team wants to play tempo?
Yeah, like I said, running that ball when they need to keep their defense off the field. Now, if they're getting a bunch of three and outs and it doesn't matter, then
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Go hammer them. Throw that ball around, air raid, do whatever you got to do. But again, finding ways to control that clock, keep their offense off the field, it's going to help everybody involved.
Then get some takeaways.
100%.
Getting some takeaways. That's one thing in this game against Ohio State. You're talking about for the first 51 minutes of the game, Penn State gave up a touchdown and 3 field goals to that offense. That's it.
Yep.
Right? But they didn't get a takeaway.
Yep.
Right? Like, that was,
It's so crucial, man. It's so crucial. I think Saturday is like the perfect case of this is why you take care of the football and this is why you have to go take it away, because they truly, those turnovers, man, they completely change the course of a game.
My friend, thanks so much. Great to have you here and your perspective.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Aeneas Hawkins joining us here in the Sunbury Motors studio. He handed out candy last night, as did I, as a matter of fact.
We also handed out candy before we went out.
Everybody knows you turn the light out, and it was just take. It's like, I have my scouting report. I have people out there to tell me. Light was out, and it's like it was all about like let's see what we can get. Dress up one like a cow, one like a farmer, and kind of turn it into and one's not feeling too well, so it became a pity party. It's
Good way to get coupons too.
Meanwhile, the coal barons going around getting coal at every house.
SUIT, that spells Suda!
And he's raking in so much dough right now in that corner office. He should have been handing out the gigantic Chocolate World bars from Hershey.
FOULED, that spells Fauda!
On to November. There we go. On to November. Next year you'll take the 2 out. You'll set a record for streets. Huh? What do you think?
Definitely.
Come on, you're going to do it. Come on, tell me. Come on, a little confidence there.
Yeah, I said definitely. We'll make it work.
No. It didn't sound very confident. It sounded like you had doubts. I mean, look. I know he's not good at hitting it off the tee, but maybe when it comes to going house to house, he can kind of turn it around for you. Yeah. Did he try to pull his brother's cow suit off?
No, actually. His brother does that himself.
Well, it sounds like you're not happy with that either.
Well, when you're trying to push the stroller in the dark, it doesn't help when Mark is constantly taking off his socks and his cow hat and make sure I don't lose anything.
It's all right. It's just, come on, he's not going to fit into it next year. Who cares? All right. Hey. See, when you get to be the grandfather part, like, yeah, it's all good. It's all very fine.
See, exactly.
It's all good. It's fine. All right, we'll come back, wrap it up in a moment. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
You have a busy family and need new carpeting. Garvey's Flooring America is here to help. With a busy family, accidents and spills happen. Garvey's has pet-friendly, kid-friendly carpet that is durable, soft, and comes with a 20-year wear warranty. Don't have time to shop for carpeting? Garvey's is very convenient with their home consultation. You also need carpeting fast. Garvey's carpet is in stock and ready to install within 3 to 5 days. Plus, Garvey's will make it affordable for you too with free installation. Stop by Garvey's Flooring America on Route 11 in Northumberland and Bloomsburg or visit garveyscarpet.com.
Ever walk into a bank and borrow money without paying interest? Me either. That's why I'm excited to announce 12 months 0% financing is back at Peters. Hi, it's Bart again. If your old appliance is giving you fits, come see us at Peters. We deliver and service what we sell. Always. No 800 numbers, no strangers to deal with, no hassle. Choose from GE, Whirlpool, Frigidaire, and more, including Speed Queen Home Laundry, the best built, best back washers and dryers on the market. Whatever your choice, buy it today and take a full year to pay, interest-free. If you don't know Peters, you should. Our family has been selling and servicing major appliances for 60 years. We are your local appliance experts. Come find out what makes us better. From washers to dryers, refrigerators, and ranges, we can help with your appliance needs. And if your appliance ever breaks, just give us a call. Easy. Great deals, good service, free delivery, and 0% financing. What more could you ask for? Peters Home Appliance Center, Market Street, Sunbury.
Financing with approved credit through Synchrony Bank. See salesperson for full details.
Last year, protecting ourselves from COVID also helped keep flu cases down. This year, flu shots are our best shot at protection. Luckily, you can get yours free at any Geisinger doctor's office, Geisinger pharmacy, and, for those 9 and older, any convenient care location. If you haven't had your flu shot, now's the time. It's 2022. Make the flu stop with you.
Progressive Snapshot can save you money based on how you drive and how much you drive. So the safer you drive, the more money you could save. Now, if you didn't hear that because you were looking at your phone while driving, let me say it again. Seriously, put down your phone. That is so unsafe. If you didn't do stuff like use your phone while driving, you could save money with Progressive Snapshot. But saving or not, just put it down. And if you did hear it the first time because you weren't looking at your phone, nice work. You'd love Snapshot from Progressive because it rewards safe drivers. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Snapshot not available in California and North Carolina or from all agents.
Ad paid for by the Sentinel Group. Attention Marines, military personnel, families, and contractors who were stationed at Camp Lejeune. Were you present at Camp Lejeune between August 1953 and December of 1987? You may be entitled to significant compensation. For nearly 34 years, those in the Marine Corps' base Camp Lejeune were exposed to contaminated drinking water, resulting in devastating injuries, including several forms of cancer, adverse birth outcomes, Parkinson's disease, and more. North Carolina's procedural laws have prevented victims from getting the justice they deserve, but passage of the Camp Lejeune Justice Act of 2022 would allow you or a loved one to file lawsuit seeking compensation for illnesses and injuries linked to the toxic water. Call today for your free consultation. 800-860-3973. Let our experienced attorneys fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call 800-860-3973. That's 800-860-3973. Again, 800-860-3973.
In fact, they sell big bags of Kit Kats at Weiss.
Again, you have to use some paper for that in order to get that.
Well, I understand that. I mean, let's face it, between this and the TV broadcast, you're raking in some dough. You're doing all right. Come on.
It could be better. But you're
Could
not
be-
wrong.
Could be better. Come on. Kids are going to believe that daddy's out there getting it done. Okay, kids, I bought some. Wow, dad's a hero. Okay, we talked about TV deals today. Talked about TV ratings today. And not really a lot on the press conference today. Most of it was about Drew Aller, which has been the conversation over and over again. Because Drew obviously has great potential. And you can see the great potential, the release, the look. I mean, it comes out of his hand. I mean, really impressive. But there is also a mindset of, I'm not playing 2023 now. I owe it to this team to win in 2022. Who gives me the best shot this week at doing it? And, and I know some people think that the 1-0 that James talks about all the time, trying to instill that as a mentality. But there's a reality to it. And while you, the fan, can afford to throw all the eggs emotionally into the Ohio State basket, or throw the eggs all into the Auburn basket, or whatever the basket happens to be as to what you perceive a big game to be, you aren't playing. And that's where you have to have that 1-0 mentality, because guess what? The game's over from Saturday. It didn't go the way you want. You got to play another game. The season's not over. Then you got another game. Then you got another game. So that's where it comes in, that 1-0 mentality over and over again. So we'll see how they want to play it going forward. Obviously, you got asked a lot about Drew today. Not a little. You got asked a lot about it. I would say 75% of the press conference was about Drew. And I don't mean Drew Shelton. About Drew Aller. So, we'll see moving forward. They did have to play the game with 60% of their starting offensive line. Again, as I pointed out yesterday, it wasn't as if Ohio State doesn't have guys banged up. They do. Jackson Smith and Jigba did not play. Cameron Brown in the secondary did not play. Bradley Robinson, their long snapper, didn't play, and Mayan Williams got hurt in the game. So, they had injuries. Penn States were all concentrated in the one area. So two guys in Hunter Norzad and Tyler Els and Bryce Effner, who are considered starters among the 7 guys, but they're starters in the realm of playing 25 to 35 snaps a game, not 80. Today's show brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury, Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummels Wharf, online at sunburymotors.com. Don't forget about our GoFundMe page to get Matt his Kit Kats. It could be one of the saddest segments we've done.